What do you say, guys? We had football over the weekend, week 0. And my partner knows a lot about one of the schools that played out in Ireland. Yeah, we're going to talk about Florida State and that epic loss to Georgia Tech. We're going to get into Alabama. It is game week. Not 1, not 2, but 3 coaches spoke today. And we're going to get into that, including the cornerback spot. Alabama, Western Kentucky dead ahead. And now it's time for one of your favorite shows, I hope. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. It's time for Elephant in the Room. Roll Tide. All right, there he is. Jake Coker, Mick Gillespie, hanging out with you on a Monday, talking Alabama football. Jake, good to see you, man. And first off, I want to tell you, just if you're keeping track, I took Georgia Tech straight up. Turned out to be a dub for me.
And you took them straight up, huh?
Yeah, because I had this gut feeling that there were just too many players missing from Florida State. I didn't like that performance against Georgia. So not a bad beginning of the season for me.
What a tease in week 0, huh?
I love it. It's cool to have a real game.
Yeah. I hated seeing Florida State lose, but it's it had an exciting game, and I had a few old teammates go out to Ireland for that game, and felt pretty bad for them making that trip for a loss, but nevertheless, it was exciting game, ready to go for week 1. That you can't get much better than that.
Yeah, well, I loved it. I like seeing the college game go international. Look like a really good crowd over in Ireland. I guess it's you grow the sport. They asked Kalen DeBoer about it, and he was like, "Look, probably not anytime soon. It wouldn't be something we would do in the first few years." But he didn't seem like he was opposed to taking Alabama international. Can you imagine Alabama international?
If I was a player, I'd much rather just stay in Tuscaloosa and play. Stay off the plane. Keep other guys can have that travel. I feel like Notre Dame playing in Ireland makes sense, but Alabama traveling across the Atlantic doesn't make too much sense to me. But
No.
You know what? I've never been to Ireland. That'd be pretty cool, but an Alabama Notre Dame Irish game would be pretty awesome.
Oh yeah. That would be. But I don't know that they would go there though. They could go to England. They could go to France. Who knows? That's just one. That's where they went this time. But the game itself, Florida State lost a lot of guys. It kind of played out like I thought it was going to. Just because you just can't rebuild a roster like that without having a few games to get everyone on the same page. I don't think Florida State's a bad team. I just think Georgia Tech's a team that was actually a team last year, and Florida State's a bunch of transfers, including some guys from Alabama, Malik Benson over there, Roydell Williams. There's other guys too, but those Alabama players didn't help. Nothing.
I think Florida State got 5 Alabama guys last year, or in the transfer portal. It's something that we've talked about all offseason. It's kind of like college basketball with the one and done deal. Players, Kentucky, you play 1 year, you get out of there, you're headed to the NBA. That you don't create a lot of continuity within a roster because of the amount of new guys you got. I think football is more susceptible to being inconsistent with more turnover on the roster. You got more guys out there, more communication. It's more of a team effort, in my opinion. And, to go out there and bring in 17 new players, 8 of which are going to be starters for you, that's a lot of change. That's a big-time transition. And, again, I don't care how talented those guys are. It's like they say, you're only as good as your weakest link. There's some truth to that. But it's just tough to completely overhaul your roster, bring in 50% new starters, and expect to be, a playoff contender like you were last year.
Yeah, good point. Really good.
And especially, I mean, look, FSU last year when they had Jordan Travis, I mean, that guy did not get enough credit for how talented he was. I mean, that guy could make all the throws. He had touch. He had a lot of zip. He anticipated very well. He was, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. DJ Uiagalelei he's talented, but it's Jordan Travis is just once in a decade type quarterback.
Right.
For FSU or any other team in the country.
Well, it was a good way to start things off, and Brett Key, former Alabama assistant. Did you ever cross paths with him?
I met him after I left Alabama, and he was the offensive line coach in Tuscaloosa. I met him a couple times, and he seemed like a pretty strong personality, a guy that was going to elevate pretty quickly. But man, he had Georgia Tech. I mean, that's a solid team right there. I mean, they very disciplined guys were where they were supposed to be. I mean, they missed a few opportunities, but Haynes King, to me, that shows you got a guy that's been there for this is his second year, transferred in last year. I've always thought his motion's a little goofy, but he looked like he's cleaned that up a little bit this year. And some of the throws he made in traffic, just in defenders' faces, know he's about to get punished. Awkward motions, just trying to get the ball out. A lot of them, a couple third down conversions that were, phenomenally placed balls under pressure. To me, that he stood out big time on Saturday and really, really elevated Georgia Tech. So I was very impressed. He looked better than I've ever seen him look. And, it just shows you, in my opinion, a quarterbacks a lot of times don't live up to their potential because I feel like, and a lot of it is the quarterback's fault, but sometimes you get in scenarios where you gel really, really well with the coaches around you. You're very comfortable in the facility and the team you have. And all of those factors, I think, contribute to quarterbacks playing with a lot of decisiveness and comfort. And so when you get the right atmosphere, the right coaches, the right players, everybody's gelling well, I think it really elevates the potential of a quarterback, or at least gives him a better opportunity to play as well as he could possibly play. And I think that's what you saw Saturday with Haynes King, just a guy who's starting to figure it out and feel really comfortable in that Georgia Tech system.
Alabama going to face a familiar quarterback when they take on Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers, and it's a guy
old New Year, new team.
Yeah. I mean, how many teams can one guy play for? TJ Finley, LSU, Auburn, Texas State, now Western Kentucky.
That's a lot of movement. That's a lot of movement. I can't imagine. I obviously transferred one time, and there was a lot to adjust to and figure out. And I can't imagine going 4 places in 4 years. Or I don't know. What is that? He got a COVID year too. What is this, his 5th, 6th year?
Probably. What's it like when you go in there? Like if you had to go and learn like 4 different offenses? I mean, that seems to be 4 different offenses, 4 different teams. Like 4 different campuses, 4 different rivalries. Seems like it'd be a lot of work.
Well, I mean, yeah. Just offense-wise, learning the verbiage and how to communicate with everybody. I remember when I first got to Alabama, and I was sitting down having meetings with Lane and Alex Mortensen, other some GAs, some coaches. I mean, you're going through that install, and the entire time you're learning this play, and you're thinking of the same verbiage you used at Florida State, picturing it that way, and then translating it back over to the Alabama language. Some of the things were called the same. I mean, Jimbo kept a few of a few of the Coach Saban concepts named the same way. But all the protections at Alabama were names or words, whereas at Florida State each protection was numbered. So just the way that you looked at that playbook was a lot different. But again, everybody kind of runs similar stuff. It's just called different things.
Well, familiar face. And it's going to be, hard coming into Tuscaloosa. I know it's a new defense for Alabama, the swarm defense. Thought that Kane Womack, guy that and Alabama's new defensive coordinator, was really good today in the press conference. Let me pull this clip up. He was talking about, just he wants the team to start fast. That he wants them to give because last year, remember, I mean, there were times where they played really great. Then there were times where they played really slow. Seems like he's been focused on that. Then the biggest question mark to me, Jake, has been, how Alabama's going to do in the cornerback spot. And here's what he had to say, and then we'll just kind of talk about it. Talking about the cornerbacks.
I think Maurice Linguist does a tremendous job, and he's done a tremendous job with those players. You look at it, whether they're guys that have experience in college football but did not play here at Alabama, or they're young freshmen. I think everyone in that room is trending in the right direction, and that to me is a great indicator of tremendous coaching. I think it's also a tremendous indicator of young men that have an opportunity and are trying to make the most of their opportunity. And so, when you got guys like Damani Jackson who have played, the game, but he's learning a new defense, right? He's learning a new culture, a new system, a way of doing things, right? I think he has really taken to that. I've seen great leaps from him. Deshaun Jones has really done a tremendous job in a short amount of time. I think from when he got here to where he is right now, just physically, I think he's changed his body. You often don't see that from older players, but I think his body has changed, and that's a credit to Dave Blue and our strength staff as well. But those younger freshmen have been really impressive to me. When you look at guys that are, all three of those young freshman DBs, right, should have still been in high school this spring. And what was impressive to me is when they would make a mistake, they would work to correct it and often would not make it again. I think each one of them have taken a major step forward through the off season, through the summertime and into fall camp. And so you're going to see a lot of them play. And so I think it's something that's really exciting. I've said this before, experience is finite. Sometimes we're going to have to go through some of those adversities, right? You're going to take your lumps every now and then as a young freshman. But what I've been excited about is those guys have shown that when they do make a mistake, that they can get it fixed moving forward. And if they'll do that, they'll continue to elevate their game throughout.
All right, so there you go. Day, Deshaun Jones from Wake Forest. He said not only has he gotten better, but that he's been able to transform his body with the working out. And I'm sure for a guy coming from Florida State, stepping into Alabama, knowing that you're going to have a lot more physical battles, and that's no disrespect to from Wake Forest to come into Alabama. There's no disrespect to Wake Forest, but it's a grueling schedule in the SEC. To go in there, and the stronger you get, the easier it's going to be for you to maintain probably the physicality of the league.
Yeah, I think Deshaun Jones, he came from Wake Forest, didn't he?
Yeah, Wake Forest. Yeah, he came from Wake Forest.
I mean, some of these guys are going to be introduced to an entirely different, football infrastructure, right? I mean, some of these guys that have played at other schools that don't have the resources that Alabama does, and there's not many that have those type of resources and that kind of personnel that's that dedicated to their craft. Coach Blue, our training staff, our nutrition staff, there's a lot more people involved from a football aspect at Alabama than most other schools around the country. And so, again, when these kids are making this decision, sometimes that goes by the wayside, but you really don't realize how involved these people are in the program and how involved they are in making you better physically and mentally, honestly. in every facet of the game. I mean, you're eating the right stuff, you're working out, and I don't know if you're familiar with Coach Blue or familiar with that strength staff at all, but I mean, it's become a very, very scientific and data-driven system. I mean, those guys are getting to peak performance, right before the season starts, keeping them at peak performance throughout the season, and they're measuring that. They have metrics, to make sure those guys are performing at that level every week. So, I mean, it's just a state-of-the-art training facility, with chefs and nutritionists that are cooking the right things and you're putting the right things into your body. Whereas you don't have that. Look, I've never been to Wake Forest, but I mean, you can just give it an eye test, a facility check, and you kind of know where the money's going, right? I mean, there's a clear and present emphasis on football at Alabama over football at other programs. And so, it doesn't shock me at all that when players show up, even though they're very talented and they've performed on the field at places prior to Alabama, that once they step foot on campus and the strength staff and the nutritionists and the training staff get their hands on them, they become completely different physical specimens because they've never been trained that way. They've never been fed that way, and really never gotten the attention that you get when you are in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other good thing too is this is one of the position groups that we worry about the most. I mean, I've been very clear of saying that, I worry about having one guy returning from Alabama last year and Jaleel Hurley, and you don't even hear from him. So obviously it isn't going well. And then you got a guy from USC that didn't have a great year, has a ton of talent in Devontae Jackson, but it's not like he really did anything. And then I don't know much about Deshaun Jones. I mean, how many Wake Forest games do you watch, right? But he transferred in, and then you got these three freshmen, and I love what he was saying about the freshmen because I feel like at some point it's going to be those guys, whether it's at some point this season or next. But, Xavier Brown and Jalen Mbakwe and Xavier, those guys are
right. Yeah, you're riding that Mbakwe train pretty heavy, aren't you?
I love them. Yeah, I mean, I love them. But well, here's the thing. You and I both played sports, and you know what I'm talking about. There's just certain guys that doesn't matter where you put them, they're just good, right?
Yeah.
Plays quarterback, they win. Guy plays wide receiver, they win. Running back, they win. Plays defensive back, cornerback. Doesn't matter where you put this guy on the football field.
Oh yeah.
He's just a winner, man, and I like those kind of guys.
It's funny. When I was in Arizona, Byron Leftwich, he used to describe Ben Roethlisberger that way. He's like, what makes you look at what?
Well, Ben Roethlisberger's like big and he just seemed kind of big and clumsy to me.
Yeah, but I mean, he would be like, things would break down. Ben sometimes wouldn't he wouldn't really
as a quarterback.
Yeah, he just things would break down. There'd be plays that weren't necessarily the best play called, but it was like if Ben had the ball in his hands, he was going to find a way.
Yeah,
just like the craziest and quarterback trying to find a way to make this sound reasonable to somebody in quarterback terms. It's just like he just finds open guys, and not necessarily would it be the rules you should be following as a quarterback, hitting the right reads or reading everything particularly the right way. But he sees the game through a different lens, and he finds people, and he's got some of the best arm talent, to have ever played the position in the NFL. So, I mean, yeah, that's from a quarterback's perspective. But you got guys on defense that play, don't necessarily check all the boxes. James Harrison at Pittsburgh, I mean, and then they're just around the ball. They end up with the ball in their hands, or they end up creating a turnover. I mean, just I haven't seen Mbakwe play enough, but I'm hoping what you're saying is true.
Well, I just think, well, and I totally get it now. I thought you meant like what I was saying about Mbakwe. Not only is he a winner, but the guy can just do so many different things. Just a versatile player, right? We saw that at Clay Chalkville. But yeah, I mean, I think that these young guys are going to be, and I'm all in on him. I think he could potentially be the best player, including Ryan Williams, in this group. When it's all said and done. I mean, it would not surprise me. But those guys are going to have to get in there and do it firsthand. I mean, they're really going to have to. I mean, it's going to be one of those situations where they are going to be relied on to play early and have success. Because if they don't, then it's going to be a bad thing for this program, right? Because one of those guys gets hurt, there's a true freshman in the game. One of those guys gets tired, there's a true freshman in the game. So the fact that he's saying, and Kane Womack is saying, hey, they're supposed to be in high school, but they're the work ethic and their attitude is all veteran, to me is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been I'm not going to say skeptical, just nervous about this new secondary with so many new faces and so many adjustments. But what gives me comfort is Coach Saban's been a little tough on Alabama, on game day and in the media, and giving Georgia, the nod on pretty much every parameter in the SEC. And Coach Saban's at practice every day. I say every day. He's watching practice. He's watching scrimmages. He knows what's going on. He knows his guys that are still there. And, he was a part of bringing in some of these guys. But he still ranked us number 7 to get into the playoff, on game day Saturday. So I'm going to I feel pretty comfortable having him say that, and he's got to be pretty fair and balanced up there. So him saying we're going to be number 7 going into the playoff seeding this year makes me feel pretty good about where we are and how those new pieces of the puzzle are fitting in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of the bottom line is like, I see Saban talking about Georgia. He calls it like rat poison or whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm too confident in Alabama, but I just think I think Alabama's being underestimated even by Coach Saban.
I think he's
You think it's rat poison? You think he's just sprinkling a little rat poison out there for Georgia?
No, I think he's I mean, look, we're slated to have at least five transfer starters. At least I would say. So I mean, I think he's thinking kind of like we've said all year. The first half of the season is going to be tough. It's going to there's going to be a lot of guys trying to figure out how to play with each other, and he probably is a little nervous about what the result of that is going to be, and if we are going to be able to transition quickly enough. But I think he's been kind of surprised at how good we look in these scrimmages, to be honest with you. And I think he's pretty happy with Kalen DeBoer's progress so far.
He called it reverse rat poison on the.
Yeah, I think that's wishful thinking on the part of most Alabama fans.
I'll tell you, watching him on Pat McAfee, he does a lot of things well. I mean, he's the best football coach ever. You talk about a great motivational speaker, awesome at that. But he's not a very good bar guy. He looked uncomfortable. He looked like he needed a wingman, and I volunteer for that job. If I can help him get a little more comfortable at the bar scene, I'll be right there next to him because Pat, it looked like
that wasn't Pat McAfee's first time in a bar. I can tell you that.
I can't not like Pat McAfee, man. I just like the guy. I can't tell you.
I loved it when he was looking at the camera going,
Man, that's so funny.
Man, those were some dark beers.
Yeah,
some
Irish
dark
beer.
beverages.
Yeah, let's go, man. If they play over there, we should go.
Like drinking a milkshake.
Yeah. I'm guessing it's kind of. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's the same stuff we got here, like the porters, right? I mean, Guinness Stout, right? The stouts, Guinness is made over there for sure because, I know they ship it over here. I wonder if it tastes fresher over there. No, but I think they brew it here, even though it's an Irish beer. I think they brew it there's 2 Guinness breweries in America, and I want to say one's in Baltimore.
I don't know. Do they even have light beers over there?
I don't know. I've never been.
I remember I had a meeting and I ate dinner with a German guy about 4 years ago, and he was talking about how the European beers, you don't get hungover like you do drinking light beers, and there's just
really,
they're more real. I guess there's I don't know, more natural ingredients or whatever, but he's like, we just don't drink light beer in Europe. It's like it's just not something we do.
We should go over there and find out for ourselves. It'd be fun.
Yeah, you know how I am about flying or travel.
Yeah,
in general.
We'll have the beer. We'll have American beer on the way over. Just make it easy.
Man, I felt like I've already. After this weekend, I felt like I've been to Ireland. I'm good.
Where'd you go?
I watched Game Day and I watched Pat McAfee show on Friday.
Oh, so you're saying you just went over mentally and you're back already?
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Well, I'm looking forward to getting together later this week, and I'm excited about us teaming up on the tailgate show, man. It's going to be great.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to being in Tuscaloosa on a Friday before a game on game day morning.
Yeah, well, we can let the cat out of the bag. We record on Friday. You want to hear the show, you listen to it on the radio on Saturday. Because if you guys want to,
I'm already screwing it up.
No, because I mean, it's like doing the show in front of a live studio audience. But we got to get you guys signed up for covercrimson.com, and even though it's the tailgate show, we're all related, man. We'll make sure that we get you. You come out and hang out with us. We'll get you set up, and you can do it right now for $1. Sign up for $1 at covercrimson.com. If you sign up for the annual membership, though, you get a cool T-shirt. Which have you seen those yet? Crimson with the white. It says Cover Crimson. The logo's on there. It's pretty sweet.
No, I need a couple of those.
Yeah, we got to get you hooked up. And I think the word on the street is that they're going to mail you a care package. So,
there we go.
Next round gear in it. But you guys come by. We're going to be at Unique, which is the old Egan's on the Strip this week, 1 to 3. That's the game plan to do the show. So come by and hang out with us, ask questions, whatever. It's going to be fun. That'll be how we kick off the season. We're going to bounce around different spots this year. We'll get back to Innisfree some too, but it's going to be fun, man. I mean, just to get together and talk football, and the show's going to be on all across the state. We're going to have the next round guys on. Lance is going to be on with us. I'm sure we'll get Dunaway and Brown on. Big family, man. Big family of talking football. And having you on. And Clint Lamb.
Yeah. Yep. One big, happy, straight-laced family. No issues here.
No. Hey, let's do it again tomorrow.
Hey, sounds good to me, buddy.
All right. Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us. Like and subscribe. And don't forget that this show is always proudly presented by MyBookie, and they do a great job to keep us rolling. We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action is in your hands and you don't even have to wear pants. Start at MyBookie today with a generous sign-up bonus using the promo code NEXTROUND, and a revamped loyalty program ensures a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win with MyBookie. All right, we will talk to you guys again tomorrow. CoverCrimson.com. Thanks, guys. And again, roll Tide, everybody.